And you found us. I know for some reason my software said that we've been shut down, but now my software says, no, you're going. You're going. Hey, hi. Welcome, everyone. It's Emil. It's Emil Guillermo. Emil Amok to you. This is my Takeout, my Emil Amok's Takeout. You can eat here or take it out. But I'm glad you're here today. I mean, the holidays are upon us. We know the House Ethics Committee has given a great gift to people who hate the Trump administration, who hate Matt Gaetz. Here comes this ethics report. So that's in the news. Luigi Mangioni's in the news. So much in the news for a holiday period. And I'm very pleased to say that I have a special guest who will give me his views on those things and other things. He's the esteemed author, commentator, my friend. I've known him a while. He also is the co-founder of the, not just Penn Oakland, Poets, Essayists, and Novelists of Oakland, but also the founder of Before Columbus, which brings us the American Book Awards. Here is the author, playwright, writer extraordinaire, Mr. Ishmael Reed. Hi, Ishmael.
Oh, Emil, how you doing?
Hey, it's good to talk to you. And, I've known you for a long time, and I know you've written about Black Santas and things like that. But what is the correct salutation during these holiday period, these holidays to you? Happy holidays, season's greetings, Merry Christmas. What do you prefer?
Well, I heard a term today called Christnica.
Christnica.
Which is Hanukkah and Christmas.
Yeah.
So I think the right wing is probably going crazy over that.
So,
I mean, just as they bought their gifts from Amazon or wherever, here comes Christnica.
Christnica.
Now
so
they got to deal with Kwanzaa. It's driving them crazy. What happened to baby Jesus? That's what they want to know.
Yeah.
What happened to baby Jesus?
Yeah. I don't know. He grew up. He grew up in the. But so you're a Merry Christnica, Happy Christnica.
I think I prefer the pagan Christmas.
The
Saturnalia.
Saturnalia.
Yeah, where the employees become the bosses.
That's a good one. The employees become the bosses.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I like that. I like that idea. All right. So, happy Saturnalia. Happy Christnica. Christnica. All right. Now we haven't talked since the election, so we should begin.
You know what? You know Christnica?
No, I don't know Christnica.
I'll bet you, Mary. What's her name? Mary Taylor Greene's having a fit.
Yeah.
She's probably going to think it's Soros financed. Christnica.
What is Christnica? You tell me.
It's a trusty Hanukkah celebration. Yeah. They coincide on the same day, Hanukkah and Christmas.
This year, right?
Yeah.
This year. So it's not every year. It's like it's just the calendar.
You can divide your Christmas tree into two parts. One celebrating Hanukkah and the other celebrating the Christmas.
I don't think I've ever seen it all fall on the same day. Has it happened before?
I have no idea. I just heard it on TV today.
Yeah. Well, okay. So happy Christnica. You are the founder of the Before Columbus Foundation, which brings us the American Book Awards. And I saw something you posted on Facebook saying, here it is without much, funding from government they happen every year, and they just happened yesterday. What's the big literary winner in the American Book Awards?
Well, we include authors that are probably not recognized in the East, although we had a contingent from the East come to our awards, which is a turnaround where West Coast authors usually go to New York to receive awards. Yeah. This year, writers from New York came to to California to receive their awards, and they did a thriving business with San Francisco hotels.
Yeah,
contributed to commerce, and probably probably returned to the East with a different impression of San Francisco than you get in the news.
Yeah, because the news always paints this really dismal view of like one part of San Francisco might
Right.
be, a bit of a trouble spot,
Tenderloin. Tenderloin.
a tenderloin, yeah, but it's not like the entire city is not
No,
like
it's a pretty middle class town.
that.
Of course, you have to have a lot of money to
Yeah.
live downtown. You have to have a few $1 million. But I think if you go out into the suburb or you go out in the outer parts of San Francisco, you find it's pretty middle class, no different from any other town in America.
Yeah, I mean, if they lived, say, in the Mission District, or even in any of the immediate suburbs. But who was the big winner in this year's?
We have no big winners. There are no big winners. We treat them all the same. Uh, we can send you a list.
Well, who's the one that you want to like? Not necessarily tout the most, but who was the most? Who was one winner from New York who had a complete turnaround of their impression of
I
of
think
the
I think Brenda Green deserved an award because she's. I mean, we all know each other out here.
Mhm.
I mean, Asian American, Native Americans, we all know each other. We correspond, we share resources, from Los Angeles to Seattle to Southwest. It's pretty much of a struggle in the East against this decadent Anglo establishment, which is heavily financed. And though they might create some tokens, like they might have one Filipino American. I mean, some of these tokens receive awards every year. They should be embarrassed. I won't mention any names.
Yeah.
But what I described Brenda as being involved in a resistance movement.
Yeah.
So she's in Brooklyn conducting guerrilla warfare against Manhattan and undermining their tendency to appoint tokens. So every time a token falls, usually because they insult their sponsors, they get somebody to take their place. This has been happening since at least the 1920s.
Yeah.
So she shows that there are other talents. And by the very fact that she shows that there are a range of talents, she's challenging their monopoly on setting trends, not only in so-called American literature, but so-called French literature. And when you look at the people who endow these awards, you'll find that maybe they might have some judges who are multicultural or winners who are multicultural. The people who run it are people like somebody connected with Ralph Lauren.
Yeah.
Or some big publisher. And usually you don't find the diversity that you find in among our board of directors. We have 3 Pulitzer Prize winners, 3 former U.S. poet laureates, winner of the Booker Prize, Marlon James, who came from England to attend one of our ceremonies. So we have, and Victor Hernandez Cruz, co-founder of the Before Columbus Foundation. He lives in Morocco. He's trilingual, and he's now making his American tour. He's in New York. He's going to go to Harvard. Henry Louis Gates is one of our directors. So, and we have Italian American scholars. Tom English, who is a Irish American detective novelist. And so I consider Before Columbus to be the sister organization of Penn Oakland, of which you are a member. And so between the two, we've given out, I don't know, scores of awards, maybe 100 or maybe even more awards since our inception. Inceptions. Before Columbus Foundation was founded in 1976. It'll be 50 years old in 2026. The Penn Oakland was founded is 35 years old.
Yeah.
So with all that, we're not recognized by the New York Times. We get international coverage. I mean, Penn Oakland has been shown up in newspapers in Cairo, in Iran, and other places all over the world. The New York Times refuses to acknowledge that we exist the American Book Awards, even though they covered our ceremonies a few times.
Yeah.
Well, this all was aired because they're in the pocket of the National Book Award. They're, that
Yeah.
them, that's the award ceremony, and which have a scandal every year. And Penn America has a scandal every year. And Tennessee is the chair of Penn Oakland. And we're saying, you guys have so many scandals. Why don't you transfer Penn America to Oakland? you know, you know.
Yeah.
So anyway, a big book is coming out next year called The History of the Before Columbus Foundation. It's about 500-600 pages.
Wow.
And it just talks about the history of what we've been doing. Now, we had some bleak times. Gundar Strads, whose parents were immigrants, and they know about some dominant culture trying to impose their values on a native culture because the Soviet Union occupied Latvia, and so they left Latvia. Gundar's father came here. He was a professor of economics at the University of California, Berkeley. So he was with us during the bleak years. We had this shabby office down on 4th Street, and now we are situated in very beautiful preservation parks. We've been there. As a matter of fact, we were one of the anchor tenants.
In Oakland.
Yeah, in Oakland.
Yeah.
So there's a politics and book awards, and we're very aware of that.
Well, one thing I know about Before Columbus, the American Book Awards, and I was a winner in 2000 for my collection of essays, and I'm very honored and grateful to have received it. But I will say that it has always been at the forefront of making sure that literature and arts and letters were as diverse as possible in terms of the recognition of the people who received awards. And a young writer like myself would look up at the award winners, like in the National Book Awards or some of the other awards that were put out, and would not see an Asian American or Filipino American, or not see as many African Americans or Latino Americans. And then to see the, just the role of diversity, represented in the winners of the American Book Award, and also Penn Oakland, always was an inspiration. And you were at the forefront.
Yeah, well, we began in New York, actually. We started out we had something called the International Mine Mining, which had the diverse groups, but it's very difficult to build foundations in New York. It's much easier, we found, on the West Coast because you don't have the temptation of patronage. So what you see in Manhattan is that you see writers auditioning for an audience of patrons who will support their careers. So there's a lack of patrons. I can tell you there's a lack of patrons on the West Coast, but we are fortunate enough to get a few to support us.
Well, I congratulate you for all that you've done. And when is the book on the Before Columbus Foundation coming out?
It'll be out next year from Baraka Books in Montreal, probably fall of next year.
Okay, well, we'll look for that.
And we had some people who were with us as pioneers. The great Rudy Anaya, who wrote Bless Me Ultima. He passed, and Andrew Hope, a Tlingit leader. He passed. David Meltzer, Bob Callahan. So some of the pioneers didn't make it. Alta, who was the publisher of Shameless Hussy Press, a feminist press. Joyce Carol Thomas. All those people are deceased. But we're carrying on, and we have very, very well represented by a younger generation. Like Justin Vermont has kept the organization going. Gundar's kept it going for a couple of decades, or maybe a few decades. Well, yeah, a couple.
Yeah.
And shepherded us through those times. We were getting grants from initially we were getting grants from the the National Endowment, but there was some people in the East objected to it.
Mm.
They always say that we're not qualified, even though they haven't read our work.
Yeah.
So when I was the reason we got the money to start before Columbus was that I was chairman of the Coordinating Council of Literary Magazines, which parcel out money to different groups. Well, it wasn't that way before we came. When Rudy and I brought Rudy and I and some others on the board, it became more diverse, and we started financing Hispanic, Native American, Black magazines to the well, it got some of the traditional members upset. But one of the people who was chair, and I replaced two of them, was William Phillips of the Partisan Review.
Mm.
So at one meeting, I introduced Leslie Marvin Silko, the
Oh,
great
yeah.
author who was just elected to the American Academy, and Tony K. Bambara, the great writer. And in his autobiography, he says that I was introducing people who were not qualified. He hadn't read their works. I mean, how you like that for intellectual curiosity?
Yeah.
The following week, Tony K. Bambara got a whole page in Newsweek. So that's what you're up against. You're up against a resistance that is probably so prejudiced about blacks and Asians and other Asian Americans and others writing that they make statements about stuff they haven't read.
Well, tell me, Ishmael, this sounds like a familiar thing, in terms of, we have uh, people of color who are trying to move in. We have a kind of a white establishment. I don't want to call it a white supremacist establishment. It's just a white establishment. And they're resentful of maybe losing some ground. It's kind of like a turf war. But this is a same kind of thing that we hear when we talk about college admissions and jobs. And, it seems like it's a battle that in the literary arts is still being fought.
Well, I think that my position is that what's wrong with historical black colleges? I mean, they'll probably learn more about the truth of American history and culture than at other universities. And I noticed some of the Ivy League universities have graduated, Nazis and things. The guy who was leader of the Proud Boys and all those people. Yeah, a whole bunch of people
Yeah.
come out of Ivy
Well,
League schools who are just
yeah.
sort of like Nazi light, Lite. It's no longer Nazi light because Musk and Trump are supporting some Nazi group in Germany.
Yeah.
I don't know why that's not the news. Seems
Well,
like that would
Dart,
be, seems that
Dartmouth,
would be the headlines.
yeah, Dartmouth has had a reputation of being highly conservative. I don't know if you would call them all Nazis, maybe some, but Dartmouth has had that reputation. Although it just came out saying that Dartmouth as a college would be neutral and would not be partisan on any issues. But so tell me, I mean, it just seems like the same kind of battle that we faced, racially in terms of affirmative action and in not just higher ed but also in jobs. Seems like the literary folks have been fighting the same kind of battle, trying to be for inclusion, and it seems it
Well,
has.
this doesn't happen abroad. I think what's happening here is that white nationalists are afraid of other groups getting the upper hand. That's what's behind the immigration problem, the so-called problem. Of course, nobody talks about how that border got there. I mean, it was a racist slave-owning president, James Polk, who wanted to extend slavery to Cuba and Mexico. And so by gunpoint, they invaded, they staged a sort of Gulf of Tonkin incident, gave them permission to invade Mexico, and slaughtered a lot of people. I mean, I think there are probably more I read somewhere there's more casualties in World War One, and all the Confederate generals were down there practicing how to commit atrocities, like atrocity school. So you
Yeah.
had Stonewall Jackson, Robert E. Lee, you had Jefferson Davis, and all of them down there slaughtering Mexicans. And so finally they held a gun to the government of Mexico and got the Southwest, which is still in contention.
Yeah.
I mean, there are Hispanic intellectuals who do not recognize the Southwest as part of the United States. So you might have a Quebec situation. You know,
Yeah.
my publisher in Canada is a Quebec nationalist, and he resists the idea of Anglo control of Canada, Robert Philpott. So whenever I go up there, he takes me to this place where de Gaulle made a speech about, Quebec being French, all that. So that might happen here. You might have a Quebec situation here.
Where we're Spanish again?
Everything west of the Chicago is Spanish. As a matter of fact, I hadn't had time to make my speech. I was talking about I was welcoming the New York contingent to northern Mexico. So there's still court cases. I don't know if they disappeared, but the United States violated the treaty that they signed with the Californios, the
Yeah.
mixed race group that was fighting for independence from Mexico, and they promised that the Spanish, those people who received land from the King of Spain, could keep them. And then Congress or something, violated that, and we got squatters. I mean, Oakland was taken over by squatters. We had the Peraltas. The adobe is still there. The adobe house, the
Yeah.
Peralta adobe house,
Mhm.
still there. And you had this criminal carpenter. I think he changed his name to Carpentier or something like that. He came out here. He's from Columbia Law School, and he and his friends leased the land from the Peraltas, and then violated the agreement by having squatters live on the land.
See,
He
see,
got yeah,
this is all history that we don't get taught in school.
yeah. Well, you don't get much taught in school. That's why I said people ought to go to uh, ethnic schools instead of these mainstream schools, because you're always going to get a cheerleading, rah rah interpretation of American history and culture from those schools. Which
Yeah.
the whites it's always Daniel Boone, the slaver. You know, the slavers were inside the Alamo,
Yeah.
and the abolitionists were part of the Mexican army because Mexico outlawed slavery in 1820s, and so they told the Americans they couldn't bring in slaves. And Austin violated that. He brought slaves into that territory. And one of the reasons we got the Mexican War was because it's called the Mexican American War.
Yeah.
Is because there was a dispute over slavery.
So this is what you're saying is the bad guys were inside the Alamo and the good
Yeah,
guys were outside.
yeah, yeah. There's some books I could send you references I can make.
Well, it's
You got the
interesting.
thing all messed up.
Yeah, well, like I said, this is not in the one or two paragraphs that most people get in U.S. history. This is not what's told.
Yeah,
And part of, this idea of accepting, embracing the diversity that we have now is also understanding how diverse America has been in the past and how it's fought against,
Mhm.
realizing the kind of diversity that would happen naturally if people weren't fighting tooth and nail for turf or for you
Well,
know
the Mexican general fought against the American invaders. Is considered a villain. Yet he was an abolitionist. He considered slavery to be disgusting.
yeah
So that's when you talk about the border, they always say, "Oh, the border, oh, the border." You know, they don't tell you how that border was captured or taken or
yeah
seized.
well, you mentioned Polk, right? It
Yeah,
seems like all the presidents of that era, many of whom are remembered in by street names in San Francisco, like
yeah, right,
Polk,
right,
Buchanan, Pierce.
right, right.
You know, they're all bad guys. I
Well, yeah, we
mean,
have a street called Lee here in Oakland.
Lee. Well,
Robert E.
you
Lee.
know, like Pierce, Franklin Pierce
Yeah,
wanted to turn Cuba into a slave state. That
sure,
was his thing.
sure, sure.
So, Anyway, well, look,
Yeah, well, if you try to challenge them, as I did with the haunting of Lin-Manuel Miranda, which is still stalking that thing all over the world. As a matter of
yeah,
fact, I made the front pages of a New Zealand newspaper, which coincided with the appearance of Hamilton there.
yeah,
And the mayor of Chattanooga invited. I was born in Chattanooga, Tennessee, so the mayor's invited me to come down there, and coinciding with my visit there will be a performance of the haunting of Lin-Manuel Miranda,
yeah.
because is going to be brought there. So we made our point. I think they're making $1 billion. We sent 50,000 to challenge them.
Yeah. Well, it's important to have that, because Hamilton's going to be around. When it tours, people who are open minded will say, "Well, this is great. We got Hamilton. There's good songs, but what is the truth?" And then they find the haunting of Lin Manuel Miranda, and, written by you, and they say, "Oh, well, here's another view."
No, I got a lot of vitriol.
Yeah. Well, you
I
get
mean,
that
I
too.
mean, I mean, I mean, I got, I got scores of letters. And Broadway World is the official one of the trade magazines of the theater
Yeah.
world, and the New York Times, from the brightest and the best, you know. And they're so ignorant, they're so stupid and ignorant. But anyway, and finally, I mean, it was a lot. Most of the stuff was ad hominem.
Yeah.
So finally, the New York Times came out with a study from the Schuyler Museum. Old man Schuyler, Philip Schuyler, was a native
Oh yeah.
Indian fighter, slave owner. Those girls that are lion eyes on Broadway, they grew up in a slaveholding household where the slaves were treated so badly. They did an excavation of their bones and found that they worked hard, malnutrition, and all that.
Right.
But they're compared to Kim Kardashian on Broadway.
Yeah.
These people own slaves. So they finally came out and said, yeah, he was a slave owner.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh yeah. I remember when that
slave
story broke.
trafficker. He's a slave trafficker, the slave owner. He's been in slavery business all of his life. And that didn't change anything.
Yeah.
I
Well,
mean,
but this is the sort of the truth with everything of that era. I mean, I could also mention Ivy League schools
yeah, right, of course.
all had that issue.
Well, they named their buildings after people like Hamilton.
Yeah.
But Ron Chernow, they caught him at a cocktail party, and they asked him what he thought about the play, and he ran away. But finally, they counted him about the revelation that the guy was a slave. Well, that's only one part of his life. What about the other things that he did?
Ishmael, he's multifaceted,
Yeah,
of
and
course.
these abolitionists, so-called abolitionists, Hamilton and his father-in-law, set up something called the Manumission Society about freeing slaves or hunting down slaves and owning slaves. So that just goes to show you, if you want to look at American hypocrisy, you can be in business as long as I have.
Right, right. Well, this is the thing. Once we figure out who tells the right history and who gets the right history, we'll have a fuller picture of everything that happened. And
Well, I wish some of these people would tell these minority men who voted for Trump about that. I was thinking that, I saw you see the thing today in the Times. It's called
I get my times late. They get
Democratic brand. The Democratic brand is in the toilet.
oh, I've seen
Four writers dive deep into the party's distress, all white,
yeah.
led by Frank Bruni.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
he's like, yeah, and I mean,
well, he's not as bad. You know who else has that view? Senator Joe Manchin, the West
yeah,
Virginia senator who's on his way out. He said, the Democratic brand is bad. Actually, there is something. There are even people on the left have said something went wrong with the Democrats.
yeah, they nominated a black woman.
Well, they said something's wrong with
They
they thought.
always leave that out. The
Yeah,
gorilla in the 800-pound gorilla in the room. They
well,
always leave that out because they hold these MAGAs, neo Nazis, and KKK types uh, innocent of racism.
well,
Even though they say we are racist,
yeah,
we are going to, and we are anti-Semites. We will go into the Capitol and mock Auschwitz and fly the Confederate flag and embrace Nazism and march to Charlotte saying the Jews not replace us and make all kind of racist. You know how the New York Times views anti-Semitism? Black people,
Black people.
Black Lives Matter. They're the ones.
Yeah. Well,
Somebody wrote a whole thing about, well, I was this person from Black Lives Matter. Okay? You know what I mean? Elon Musk,
yeah.
the wealthiest man in the world, has been condemned by the ADL, Anti-Defamation League. The president-elect has been condemned by the Anti-Defamation League for anti-Semitism. No, all the anti-Semitism is black in the New York Times. All the misogyny is black.
Yeah. Well,
And guess what? All the referees are white. The people who run that thing, white patriarchs. So let me give you a point.
Yeah.
Nikki Giovanni died.
I know.
Okay. The obituary writer, white woman, I've corresponded with her.
Yeah. I had my
said that Nikki Giovanni was against black male chauvinism. And the one at the Washington Post, one of these, she said, and Nikki Giovanni was against the elitism of Amiri Baraka. Elitism of Amiri Baraka, he was such a populist, he moved into a black neighborhood and published a newspaper with the people on the block of that neighborhood.
Yeah.
And we say, well, Kamala and Biden were away from the working class. Those people just about got 9 to 5 jobs, those two, to convince people there for the working class. Biden walked in a picket line,
Yeah.
But here's the press. Well, it's the elitists who are, alienating the white male working class. Why are they blaming it on the white male working class when people of all socioeconomic classes voted for Trump? Whites from all socioeconomic classes voted for Trump, and the majority of white women of all classes voted for Trump 3 times. The Stockholm Syndrome. Is that the Stockholm Syndrome?
I think.
I mean, all the things that he said about women.
And did all the things he did.
I will take care of you, whether you like. Do they like that? I mean, do they sort of like embrace that?
It wasn't all women. It was.
I will take care of you.
Yeah.
Whether you like it or not.
So yeah.
Yes, sir, Mr. Yes,
sir. It was a small minority that went over to Trump. Still, the majority of those of those groups did vote for.
The majority of women, black and Latinas, voted for Trump, for Harris.
Yeah.
But the majority of white women. Now this guy, what's his name? Nate, somebody who does this thing.
Oh yeah, Nate Silver.
He said the majority of women voted for Harris, but he left out the fact that the majority of white women voted for Trump because they're always protecting white people.
Yeah.
They're all these assassins. They say, well, he came from a broken home. I mean, you could assassinate like a whole shopping mall of Latinos and say, oh, well, you have to realize that, he got bumped on the head by his mother. You know what I mean? They always make excuses. When black people or minority people commit crimes like they say, well, you're just savages.
Yeah.
But they become like the pro bono defenders for the legal team, the defense.
Yeah.
Like this guy, Maggione, like they say, well, he comes from a good home and he's been having hard times. Did you notice that? Did you see that?
Yeah. It's his back. He's got back pain.
He got back pain, and everybody knew something was wrong because he was off the grid. And the subway killer?
Oh, yeah.
They said,
the subway killer. Oh, yeah. Daniel Penny.
Yeah, Penny. He played lacrosse. I mean, he played, he was top of his class, a great Marine, and just a great guy,
He played lacrosse. That's a good Native American game, by the way.
Well,
Jim Thorpe played lacrosse.
I don't think he thought about it that way.
It's funny, though, that since the election, everyone's trying to figure out what's happened, but it's clear that suddenly what happened, the Democrats are called the elites and the Republicans are the good guys.
Yeah, they don't know anything about populism because they went to schools that train them to be Europeans. So those commentators you see on television writing for the Times, they don't know anything about American populism. Populism in America was defined by Huey Long. And his platform is probably to the left of Eugene Debs. You know what I mean? And he talked about free schooling, free, just everything free for the people, a chicken in every pot.
Yeah.
They calling Trump and these billionaires, they've accepted their definition of populism. That's nothing wrong with this whole corporate press.
Yeah, populism is just popular racism.
And do you see how the corporate press is capitulating now?
Oh yeah, well,
we're
yeah.
Sorry. We're sorry. Joe and Mika went down there. Oh, we loved you. I mean, we might have said some terrible things about you, but we really love you deep down.
Oh, don't forget Bezos, owner of the Washington Post. I haven't seen now
and the guy runs Los Angeles Times.
Oh yeah, Patrick Soon-Shiong.
Yeah, they all capitulated.
Yeah, and that's
New York Times. Here's the New York Times. Frank Bruni said, "Well, we ought to try to work with him, and not be so, just try to get along." This guy wants to suspend the Constitution. Wants to sell Europe down. He wants to get rid of NATO. He wants to occupy our neighborhoods with the army. That's what I tell these foolish rappers.
Yeah.
You got these stupid rappers, Little Pump, Big Pump, Lil Wayne. They're all little.
Yeah.
Kanye, all of them embracing Trump, right?
Yeah.
I said, he wants to occupy black neighborhoods with the army. Don't you say he wants to use the army domestically? That means he wants to occupy because he thinks all the crime is in black neighborhoods.
Yeah, because he doesn't want to send the army to Europe or Asia to fight a war. You fight the war here. Fight the war
Detroit.
Here in America.
And
right.
and then try all the people who are against you. What's wrong with these Indian guys, man?
They
Patel,
Cash Patel,
Ramaswamy, Souza, and what about the Congresswoman from California, Indian? What's the matter? The British really got to them, huh?
Money, right? They have.
But I mean, the British really trained them.
Well, in some way.
I mean, is that why that's why the British occupied India for 400 years?
Yeah.
Because the people that want to be like them or something. What is going on here?
The Raj.
Yeah.
Raj fever. I don't know. I just know that there seems in the Asian American community, Chinese are still dominant in some, but the days when people see Asian American as synonymous with Chinese American, it's coming to a close because right on the heels of Chinese are the South Asian Indians. It's they're the second most populous, and then the Filipinos. So the Asian American community is a Chindipino community. However, the Indians are by far the most giving to politics, and they are really veering to the right. Now,
and they're bringing the caste system over here, right?
Well,
do you get a Brahmin upgrade when you come over here?
I don't know, but
I know. You know what the American dream is?
What's that?
White ethnics in Europe can come over here and be Aryans.
Oh, the white ethnics.
Yeah. They don't even have to have blonde hair.
They come in from. Oh, I get it. They come
so the leading Aryan in the country is Steve Bannon, who's Irish.
Yeah.
And the British consider the Irish a separate race.
This is like redemption for what happened in Europe. They come to America
and become Aryan.
Yeah, they're whiter than white here.
Yeah. So that's the American dream.
And what happens to the Filipinos? We were the first colonized. We remain colonized.
Yeah, they don't know anything about the American occupation of the Philippines.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, right?
They don't.
That's one of these official historians like Meacham to tell you about it.
Well, they might say, well, we know about the Spanish-American War and we got the Philippines in the Spanish-American War, but I mean, I bet you he couldn't really talk chapter and verse about the Philippine-American War, which happened subsequent to the Spanish-American War, nor does he know a whole lot about the California history of the Filipinos coming here as colonials to work the fields to replace Spanish and actually African American and other Asian American or Asian, let's not call them Asian American, but Chinese workers in the field. So, yeah, it's people have the blind spots in history. And no matter how many, where they got their PhD and what they're studying, they leave us out, right? And that's why it's important to keep telling
They
that
leave
story.
all of us out. They leave all of us out.
Yeah. Well,
You're not gonna get a true picture of American culture and history unless it includes all the different points of view. Native American, which sees Europe,
right.
which sees the United States in terms of a European occupation.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Or Black Americans, they have a different point of view.
Mhm.
Their point of view is being suppressed because they're seen as the troublemakers. They're seen as the ringleaders of all the rest.
You know,
Give an example. They got a Black conservative in training. What's that guy's name? George on CNN? Black.
Shermichael?
He's pitiful. Don't even mention that poor guy, man. Boy, they just ring him to death. They have him on. They have him on all day now.
Yeah, well, they got
Boy,
they got to get their money's worth for their token.
He's
right?
up there praising Elon Musk. Elon Musk said that Black students are intellectually inferior.
Yeah.
That's that old Rhodesia stuff. That's what Musk wants. He wants to make the United States like one of the old time corny colonies like Rhodesia. Everybody knows their play, but he praised him. But they work him to death. So they brought in a Black conservative in training.
Yeah, I missed him.
This other guy, and he praises Elon Musk. But he said that he was on with, he's talking about DEI.
Oh, yeah.
Because the point is that Black people are always the troublemakers and they're always leading the other groups. There. Let's go attack the honkies. So this guy, I call this guy a Black conservative in training. He says, well, this DEI thing was just caused to make white people feel guilty. And the woman who knows about DEI, she said, well, it affects the disabled. It affects LGBTQ, all these other groups. Yeah. But he had to single out the Black folks because they're the troublemakers. They had the Puritans had a guy named Squanto. Have you heard of Squanto?
Yeah.
I talked about him before.
I've heard of him, but I haven't talked about him. No.
Okay, Squanto used to dwell among the Native Americans. Then he run on back to the Puritans. The chief there, they had a chief called King Phillips, who was opposing the resistance, right? The invaders, the Puritans. I hear that he dancing and drinking a lot of liquor. I'm not kidding you. That's what he would tell them. So you got these types all over TV, man.
Yeah.
They select these Black guys. I said, CNN has given every Republican who voted for Trump a job on CNN.
If they're articulate, yeah. Well, notice they haven't given much to Asians. There are not many Asians, unless the Indians. The Indians are well represented.
They like them.
They got Ramaswamy. They got Kash Patel. Now, there's one Indian on CNN. He's not an opinion giver. He's a reporter. Manu Raju.
What's wrong with Patel's eyes?
I don't know. I mean, he doesn't have
like how he look at you.
I don't know. I haven't.
Have you looked at him where he'd be looking at people?
I haven't noticed that. Does he have bushy eyebrows like Matt Jones?
I better shut up because he might put FBI on me.
Every time.
See how he look? He kind of like he look at you. Something.
I don't know. I just think that every time I think that Trump's nominees are going to get, they're going to get dumped because they're so unqualified.
They want them.
I think they're going to get through.
Yeah, Bondi too. Bondi.
Yeah,
she's going to get through.
She's acceptable because she's not as well. I don't know.
She's crazy like the rest of them.
Yeah. Compared to Kash Patel, maybe she's a little better. All right, now this happened in the news. Well, look, before we get to the news, I just wanted to, you were talking about this multicultural view that we need of history. I will say this. I did not know as much about history, Native American history, until I started reading the poetry of Joy Harjo.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
Absolutely.
if it wasn't through poetry of my own, I took it upon myself to read. She's a former American poet laureate.
3 times. She was on our board of directors.
I love
She
her.
was a director before Columbus.
I love her poetry, and because of her poetry, I know about the Indian resettlement. I mean, I went to Andrew Jackson School as an elementary kid. I
Wow.
didn't know how bad Andrew Jackson
He's
was.
terrible.
I didn't know about these these laws that Jackson passed, and the trail. I mean, I knew about the Trail of Tears, but did I know the feeling? I mean, I knew the facts of the Trail of Tears, but it wasn't until I read Joy Harjo's poetry did I know the feelings behind the Trail of Tears.
Yeah, a lot of great Native American poets.
Oh
I
yeah,
I published her second book in the 70s.
I know.
Published What Moon Drove Me to This.
I have to say this, Ishmael. Also, I discovered Native American poets during Native American History Month
Mm-hmm.
on poem for a day or
Mm-hmm. Oh
poem of
yeah.
the
Oh
day.
yeah.
And you had a poem right after the Native American. See, and I got my Native American, the founding fathers there on
Right.
my
Right.
T-shirt there, and you had a poem for Black Genius was on there
Right.
on. I think to kick off.
It was rejected by the New Yorker, and the black editor, poetry editor Kevin Young, said to send him something else, and I sent him a poem based upon my experience being tutored by a Ukrainian music teacher who took me over Chopin's Nocturne in C sharp.
Mhm.
And I wrote about that experience because his city was being bombed
Yeah.
by the Russians. And I sent that to Kevin in November 6th, and he never replied because the black there's so few spots in New York for black editors and black people in publishing that they're sort of like pandas.
Yeah.
So he's like a literary panda. He feels that he doesn't have to get back to me.
Yeah.
And I had better success with 2 prime ministers.
Yeah.
I had it easier. This is how valuable these tokens and these literary pandas are in New York. I had more success exchanging ideas with 2 prime ministers than with Kevin. Or I just interviewed Don Lemon is very famous, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I asked him for an interview for that new magazine we're doing. He got right back to me. We had a great, he talked about things that he probably couldn't say on CNN.
Yeah. Yeah.
About how there's no wall between the business end and the journalism's end. We know that, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
What?
I mean, it's well, the corporates they determine everything.
Yeah.
I mean, and even in the nonprofit world, just because you say you're a nonprofit, it doesn't mean that you don't have you're not beholden to corporate interests that funnel the money to the nonprofits.
Right.
I mean, because when there are companies that have through their foundation they donate money,
right,
or give money or grants or whatever. I mean, that has an influence on what gets covered and what doesn't. So it's really everything that's out there that people know.
Don Lemon told me that these business people tell the journalists to go easy on Trump because Republicans buy shoes too, something like that. The Republicans buy products too.
Yeah,
well, that explains how namby-pamby, some of these people can get in the media about Trump.
Yeah, you can't.
They're romancing him now. Here's a guy with 34 felonies. You think a black person with 34 felonies or a Filipino person with 34 felonies, whatever, if they elected a black or Filipino American as with 34 felonies, they would take out all the White House kitchenware. Because they know the first thing we do when we get in there, we start stealing. Selling these vases and taking them to fences and stuff.
And we'd be in the kitchen too.
Oh boy! They'd have
I
to,
I've been
they'd have to hide everything. Because then we bring our buddies in there.
everything
Why
that's
you got all these strange looking people at the state dinner? That's my posse, man. You talking about strange looking people at the state
hey,
dinner.
hey,
What?
so issue. All right, so I wanted to get the Joy Harjo mention in there because it's true. It wasn't until I read her poetry that I understood, what was happening to the Native Americans.
Yeah.
So tell me now. I haven't talked to you since the election. It's been how are you preparing for the for 2025? Because this is what I got yesterday.
Mhm.
Yesterday, I saw Trump speak to that Turning Point convention,
Yeah.
and he starts leading with hate. We're going to get rid of. He says we're going to get rid of this trans nonsense or this
Yeah.
trans lunacy. He's going to go in and he's going to bust up immigration. He's going to he just talks. He's been empowered to speak with the kind of his fantasy hate is all coming out.
Mhm.
And what is your prescription to this onslaught that seems to be coming after January 21st or thereabouts?
I interviewed my brother, Dr. Michael Lenore, for the magazine that we're going to publish in January. And he said, I said, what do you do with the post election blues? He says, there's nothing you can do medically because it's all true. I mean,
Yeah.
it's not a delusion. He's telling you what he's going to do.
Mm.
And he told these people what he was going to do before the election. And he said he's going to deport all these people, and which is impossible without, affecting the economy. Now, you're asking me what I'm doing.
Mm.
My novel, which is part of a 40-year project, The Terrible Fives. I started with The Terrible Twos, 1982.
Mm.
Is about a eco-terrorist who goes around assassinating CEOs who run oil and plastic and polluting companies. And he becomes a hero. That's in my novel. And I introduced in 1993, I introduced a presidential candidate called Termite Control. And that's the name he's gotten. That's not his real name.
Yeah.
And the only reason he's running for president at that time against a Christian nationalist government, head of the government is a Christian nationalist, which the person I introduced in 1982, over 40 years ago, is he's the only opposition to the Christian nationalist government who's making millions of people suckers because they promise that the rapture is going to come, that the rapture is imminent, right?
Yeah. The rapture. Yeah.
Yeah. So termite control, the only reason he ran is to sell termite spray cans. So he sells these spray cans with his autograph
Yeah.
for $1,000.
Sort of like MAGA hats.
Well, I don't know. I wasn't thinking about them. This is way before Trump and those people came on the scene.
Yeah.
So there's a scandal that rocks the government. Reverend Clement Jones, the chief of staff, is blackmailing the president, Jesse Hatch, right?
Yeah.
And ridiculing him. So they had a dinner at Camp David where they ridiculed the guy so he come home. He's so sad. And JFK Jr. comes there.
JFK Jr., the late JFK Jr.
Yeah,
makes
yeah. He was supposed to show up in Dallas, right? Remember they
Yeah.
said he's going to. So Jesse Hatch is so touched because he didn't even show up in Dallas. Coming to see him, right?
Yeah.
And he tells him to relieve himself of the blackmail. And he comes out and confesses what's been going on, which causes turmoil in the government. And termite control is headed for the White House.
The Terrible Fives.
The Terrible Fives. Excerpt is in the current Harvard Advocate.
Wow. How did they score that one?
I don't know, but it's got my cartoon, so I can send you the link.
I know. I saw that. I saw that on Facebook. I was going to check it
Okay.
out.
The,
But
the problem with termite control is that he's a necrophiliac.
oh, that could be an issue. But you know,
And he's
worse.
really trying to court the morticians union because they're opposed to cremation. They're losing business because of cremation. So that's
He's
another plot.
he's pro business, and you know,
And
lesser
then, and,
people have
and
been
then,
elected.
and then his opposition is a black detective named Nance Saturday.
And Saturday.
Well, that's a Ashanti story about Anansi, the spider.
I see. I see.
So when his embryo was injected with the spider DNA, and sometimes he becomes a big spider.
Yeah.
Sometimes he's a little spider,
Okay.
and he can hear conspiracies. So I have a black pope.
A black pope too.
Yeah. Nostradamus said there will be a black pope before the apocalypse, but I had a black pope before that. He marries a TV star,
Ah.
right? And that causes a scandal. So all these things are like I juggle all these things.
So, and when is the Terrible Fives coming out?
It's coming out next year.
All right, great. Well, I look
And
forward
you're
to
in
it.
the play. You're in a play that's coming up.
Oh yeah, I'm in an Ishmael Reed play
That's
called
right.
The Shine Challenge on Black History Month. During
That's
Black
right.
History Month, uh, the Titanic hits an iceberg, and we know why it went down because
Yep.
it was a damn black man's fault.
That's right. That's right.
And
And here's a little bit of esoteric information if I hadn't imparted this to you.
go ahead.
When the iceberg hit the Titanic, it had turned black.
Oh, the iceberg turned black.
Yeah. By the time I got a book called The History of the Iceberg. So,
Well, that stands to reason
yeah,
because
absolutely.
ice is,
Yeah.
it turns,
A black symbol interrupted one of the most advanced creations by the Industrial Revolution.
the Titanic, which
Yeah,
was seen.
but in our play, we blame it on Shine,
Yeah, Shine is
the one who,
B Shine
yeah,
or S Shine,
S Shine.
which could be Shoe Shine because
That's
he
right.
was.
That's right.
I guess that was the
That's right.
occupation. Hey, did you know, Ishmael? I have a disease. I'm not. I haven't really disclosed this publicly. My disease is when I put my hand and I reach for like an ice cream sandwich, like vanilla ice cream with the black cookie,
Mhm.
and if I linger too long as I pick the right one, my fingers turn white. They turn white.
Well, your fingers are trying to prevent you from getting diabetes.
Is that yeah, but it's a real disease. It's called Raynaud's disease.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's like and
But
that
every time you touch ice cream,
every not ice cream, but anytime like I'm in some kind of cold weather,
yeah.
like if I'm touching something in a refrigerator, or if I'm cold, like I'm going to be in New York. That's why I got to bundle up, or I'm going to
How
turn.
many people have this?
Not many. I mean, a few. They don't have a telethon for it, but there's no cure for it except more layers, more clothing. So
Wow.
if you see me in New York in like it's in the teens and I'm all bundled
Right.
up, it's because I don't want to turn white. That's it.
Mhm.
I mean, Harvard was enough, but I don't want to turn white from the cold.
You get your job back at NPR if you turn white.
I know. I know.
They say, in that case.
You will let him in. No, I mean, I'm not kidding you about this Raynaud's. I got Raynaud's.
That's terrible.
I know it is. I mean, hey, so Ishmael, I know we've been on a while, and you've told me a lot about. We haven't. I got to ask you about Kamala Harris because, there was Biden pardoning 37 of 40 federal
Yeah.
death row,
Yeah.
and there was Kamala Harris dutifully behind him,
Mhm.
and she was, she didn't look happy because she's not the president. She lost, but
Mhm.
she was there. So my question to you is, what do you think Kamala Harris should do next?
Oh, she should run again, maybe. for president.
President or governor? People say governor.
I don't know about that. Last conversation I had with her,
Yeah.
I asked her, this was at a party. I asked her, she was attorney general. I said, when are you going to run for governor? She said, one step at a time. So I don't know whether she's going to, but she conducted a great campaign. I was very proud of her. And the only reason he won is because he called her a whore. And a lot of people miss that. But he kept saying that she sleeps around and all this stuff and all this dirty stuff and that she would sleep with all the world leaders. And the fact that they would elect somebody like that shows you the soul of the country, which is a settler cruelty once in a while surfaces. The settler cruelty that we know about, Filipino Americans know about, Chinese Americans, all the stuff they put on them in California, Black people, Native, what we know about, and what these millions of innocent whites are not aware of because they want to join the club and be on the winning side, surface. The cruelty surfaced with that election, that they will let him get away. We call this woman a whore, which is how they treat minority women. That's how these guys think about minority women. Look at how they cast them in movies. They're always prostitutes.
Yeah.
The Asian American women, Black women, they're always prostitutes who can't wait to get in bed with a white man. Now, you know that's true. If you see the movies and take TV, I watch it. I mean, that's one thing you have to say about me, that the Black, Asian American, South Asian, women in our plays have challenging roles.
Yeah.
They have challenging roles, so they scared to talk about that. They scared. And then this degenerate vice president.
Oh, yeah. J.D. Vance. Yeah.
His mother asked him for help and he refused. I read his book before, Hillbilly Elegy.
Yeah.
And we, a group of people who opposed that book, got an American Book Award. They spotted him right away, and he called her trash. That's all that stuff about, look, most of the guys who come in for prostitution services in Oakland, they're from the suburbs.
Yeah.
75% at one time were from the suburbs. They don't get busted. The women get busted.
Yeah.
So everybody missed that because they're so naive. Now, James Fenimore Cooper.
Yeah. Last of the Mohicans.
In that book, the Native Americans and the whites are in an encampment, and they're, the enemy is after them, something like that. And the Native American objects to the white settler, to be in a lookout. They need a lookout. He said, no, because he will miss things. He will miss an enemy's signal for an animal or something like that. So they reject. See, let the Mohegan be the lookout. And that's what we're up against. They don't see it. As long as you get this panel like you had today, all white people, in the New York Times evaluating a Black woman and her candidacy, you're only going to get bits and pieces of the American experience.
How do we get it all? How do we get it all?
Right.
Or we don't get it all.
Right.
So, all right. So, Ishmael, what you mentioned your brother Michael Lenore about what's going to happen in 2025. How should people approach 2025? With resistance, with zeal? How do they fight back?
He's recommending that Black people just sit back and enjoy the show because it's going to be between Hispanics and whites.
Yeah.
Because that's going to drown his administration if they just stick to what the idea of ethnic removal, right?
Yeah.
People whose ancestors have been in this hemisphere for thousands of years, and these people who are newcomers from Europe, they come over here and they're going to tell people where they should live and what place they should have and all this kind of stuff.
The border. You mentioned the border earlier, right?
Well, they're not taught. They're not taught in school how that border got there.
Yeah.
Daniel Boone, slave owner, he's a hero to them. Alexander Hamilton, he's a hero.
So the idea is, Trump wants to let ICE into the schools. He wants to, he's against sanctuary cities. He wants to deport people left and right. He wants to take away birthright citizenship. I mean, the whole thing. It's like Trump's, uh, white. Well, what is it? Not it's his. What would the phrase be?
They want this to be the Afrikaner government in exile,
Yeah,
headed by Musk, who's from South Africa. So they want the pre-Mandela South Africa to be exiled. This is like that government in exile,
yeah,
Rhodesia. That's what they want.
yeah. And everyone talking about the Trump as the puppet president, co-presidency with Musk. I mean, that's going to probably play out for the better part of a year, I think, until Trump gets tired of it. But he might like it too much. I don't know. What do you think?
I think that they're gonna clash, and Musk has more power than he's got.
I mean,
There's some revealing stuff in my interview with Don Lemon that I won't disclose right now.
yeah. Well, I mean, it's interesting because Trump is setting us all up setting himself up because he's put a value to money.
Mhm.
And if money is the currency, and who would be upset if the richest man in the world,
Yeah, well, I wouldn't want Letitia James on my tail. I'll tell you that.
yeah,
That's still in court.
yeah,
I mean, Jack Smith, he may have to bow out, and that what's her name?
Fonnie Willis.
Oh God, what a disaster that is.
Yeah, it's sad.
They had him, and then, but Letitia James
Yeah, Letitia James.
and the district attorney Bragg, those two are not going to give up.
The only thing I have a argument with Bragg is going after Mangione so hard on the terrorism charge. What do you think?
Yeah, well, we ought to give him a ticker tape parade. Maybe before it's all over, he'll get one. You thought that was a head of state the way they brought him in.
Everyone liked that perp walk.
Oh my God!
Everyone deserves a perp walk like that. I mean,
But he's a hero. I mean, Elizabeth Warren said, well, he brought up a good point about the health industry.
And he did. We're looking at healthcare.
Yeah.
We're looking at insurance.
Yeah, United, whatever that thing was.
Healthcare. Yeah. I mean, we're looking
They're almost apologizing.
I mean, they said in that New York Times op-ed, the guy who's in charge now said, "Hey, look, we're not. We did some things wrong. We don't explain things to people because most people don't understand how health insurance works. But health insurance is there. You pay the money. You stay well.
Yeah.
They take your money, invest it in things, and make money off your money.
That's right.
But if you get sick, forget it. They'll fight you tooth and nail.
Right.
They'll fight you tooth and nail for your money because
die.
Yeah, you're not supposed to get sick. Pay them your money. They give you insurance, which is sort of like this invisible cloak of care, but it's kind of it's not tangible. And then but see, Luigi Mangione said it's all about insurance. It's insurance, and it's sort of like this hidden thing. There's look around you in your life. Everything that you can see right now is probably insured. Your house, your car.
Well, why won't Vance and Trump invite him to the Army and Navy game?
Because they got Daniel Penny in there.
Oh, I see. Okay.
They got they got one guy. They got
him in there.
He had an extra seat, but they don't want.
He raised $3 million.
Who did?
Daniel Penny.
Daniel Penny raised $3 million.
He raised more money than that guy Rittenhouse.
Oh man! See, that's how. I
told him it's become an industry. I told Richard Wright's daughter Julia that's become an industry.
Yeah.
But, these guys are hitting the jackpot, man. I mean, I might get on the subway. I'm not going to take the subway when I go to New York. Because somebody might do a fundraiser on me, make a whole lot of money, get rich.
Did you see that story yesterday though, about the guy who is an immigrant? He's a migrant from
So that
Central America. He set a
got a
woman on
woman on
fire.
fire.
Huh?
He's not going to get paid for that.
Well, but he set a woman on fire. But
Was it a black woman? Was it a homeless black woman or something like
I
that?
don't know. They haven't identified her. But
Well,
get
well,
this.
it's a homeless black. If it's a homeless black woman, you might get $5 million.
See, this is the thing. You know, he's a migrant, and he's going to be used by Trump for sure.
Of course.
Like look at these guys setting people on fire.
How do you think we feel when they, we get black guys on the 6 o'clock news, the local news every night, mug shots.
Yeah.
But then we get a night off. They do Hispanics. That's one thing about the West.
Yeah.
We get like a night off.
Wait.
And once in a while they'll do an Asian American.
Yeah, sometimes they're Asian gangs.
Yeah. So then then we get a night off.
And there was a couple nights when you saw Donald Trump's mugshot.
He turned that into a business thing, man. He sold that.
See, that's the thing. It's an opportunity.
Yeah, it's an opportunity.
Well, Ishmael, listen, it's so good to have you on and to talk. We rarely talk, but you're always in my heart. It's always good to see you. Your wife, Carla, her new book, A Jew in Ramallah, is out. I like to talk about it all the time and tell people about it.
She's waiting for you to do that broadcast.
I'm tinkering away in the sound, and we're going to get it. But
she's on New York shows.
I know she's on the Pacifica, and I know that. But I want to. Whenever I'm on, I talk about the book.
Okay.
I say, A Jew in Ramallah. If you want to know the human side of what's going on there, Palestinians and
those people have a great culture, man. And we don't hear about that. They treat them as if they're animals.
Yeah. So, and then, and we got your book. I mean, and I think I said this during the Pan Oakland Awards. You're why the Black Hole sings the blues.
Right.
That collection, it has inspired me to write poetry more intentionally.
You see how easy it is.
No, I didn't say that. I didn't say
my brother's a doctor is writing poetry. I got my dentist writing poetry. She's been published. We published her.
I'm telling you, well, Ishmael, I'm the poet laureate of my small little town.
Okay.
I've been named and I got
you were named the poet laureate.
I was named the poet laureate of my small little town. No joke.
What town is that?
It's in the Central Valley.
What are you scared to give the name of it?
Well, I'm the poet laureate of Ripon, California.
Wow, that's great. That's great.
And I mentioned you as an inspiration.
Well, that's great.
And I got my first check.
Yeah, people look at my portrait and say, "Damn, I could do that."
I did not. I did not say. I said, "Oh, this Ishmael read poetry. You can dance."
Have everybody in America writing poetry. In Japan, everybody writes poetry. They have a thing called the waka, W-A-K. I think everybody writes it from cab drivers up to the palace.
What is wrong?
We should have that here.
Exactly. What is wrong with that? If everyone was connected to their emotions,
right. That's why people are so mean and hateful in this country. They watch that junk, the stuff the culture shows them. The terrible movies and
the news. Hey, look,
news.
I wrote a column. I wrote about this in the Oakland Post. I know you probably didn't see this, but I said maybe the antidote to all the stuff, with Trump and all that is if we, turn to poetry.
Poetry connects you to your soul, unlike different from fiction, different from a whole lot of things.
Yeah.
But it puts you in connection with your soul.
And, for verbose, logorrheic kind of guys like me, it tells me to condense, to go to the core.
Absolutely.
It is the crack of language. Right. So, I started writing, I'm the poet laureate of my small town, and they actually pay me. And so it's, so I have to give workshops. So I'll invite you to.
Well, how much money are you getting?
Not that much. It's still a poet's wage,
That's good. That's good.
but it's something. I mean,
Damn right.
I go to the
Damn right.
teller, and the teller
Damn
says, "Oh, let me see. I think I can break a one." And,
right.
and so it's still an artist's wage, but I'm going to do more poetry. And but here's the other thing: it's you, and also I've been doing some stand up
Mhm,
and writing jokes.
mhm,
I discovered the poetry in jokes,
mhm, mhm.
and it just in the because you have to condense and you have to eliminate the extra words. It's
I
been
heard a great joke the other night.
oh yeah, is it repeatable?
Well, no, the guy goes to the priest and says, "Can you bury my dog?" And the priest says, "Oh, we don't bury or have funerals for dogs in the church here." He said, "Well, I'll pay you $5,000." And the priest said, "You didn't tell me the dog was Catholic."
That's funny. And if it was a Filipino priest, he probably wouldn't eat it. So that's good. That's good.
That's pretty good. Okay,
Hey, so Ishmael, it's always good. We wanted to do these maybe more frequently, so maybe
sure.
we will do that. But we're
Well,
online,
we'll do it. We'll do it until Patel
Patel.
is elected, is nominated to be the FBI director.
Oh yeah,
Then
that's right.
I'm going to shut up for 4 years.
Yeah, I'm going to start writing
I'm going to
poetry.
shut up for 4 years until this thing is over. The great nightmare came
You,
to an end. The light at the end of the tunnel.
it may only be two. Because Congress.
That's what they're all wishing. But a lot of millions of people in this country are racist.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Don't ever forget that.
At least
And
several
if a guy
million.
comes with a racist appeal like Trump did, all
Yeah.
about the Haitians
Mhm.
eating dogs and cats.
They're eating dogs. They're eating
They're the
cats.
most industrious people in the hemisphere. I've been to Haiti. There's no safety net down there. You have to hustle your behind off day and night.
Yeah,
So that's really an insult to a great people. I'm telling you.
yeah.
And if the
Well,
United States just leave it alone instead of going out down there and kidnapping the president and sending him abroad and all that, maybe something will happen down there.
yeah. Well, Ishmael, really, we'll have you on more often.
Okay.
And thank you very much for your time. Merry Christmas to you and the family.
Yeah, to you and your family too.
And really, and always, it's always good
And
to talk to
Molly's
you.
writing some great art criticism for us.
Oh, great! I
Yes,
appreciate you saying that.
excellent. She's excellent. Right.
Appreciate you saying that. Yeah, and we're just trying to do what we can, and I'll try to get you to my little town where
Okay.
maybe you can talk. If I have a budget, we'll bring in you in
You have to
Tennessee.
send lift. You have to send lift for me.
Lyft. Oh yeah,
If I'm
Lyft.
driving these little small California towns, man, you don't know what kind of reception you're gonna get. I go to some little California town, man. The police follow me from the time I enter the town till I leave.
Hey, here's the thing. This
You know,
small.
one day I was almost running out of gas, and I went to Stockton, the gas station in Stockton. Man, I was trembling. I said, "Oh boy, this is like Rod Serling country, like
Hey, Stockton. You're in the wrong
like
part of
Night
Stockton.
Gallery. Some of these towns like Night Gallery.
You're in the wrong part of Stockton. Stockton. You'd be at home in parts of Stockton.
Oh yeah, okay.
And I'll tell you that my little town, the Edwin Hawkins or the Edwin Hawkins singers,
Oh yeah,
he's in my little town.
okay.
I don't know him, but we don't know all.
I always get Lafayette mixed up with Walnut Creek.
Yeah. Oh no, I lived in.
Sometimes somebody says, "Well, there's a Safeway on one corner, there's a gas station on the other corner," and
Oh,
I took those roads. I said, "What's going on?" He said, "You're in Lafayette." And boy, when I went to the gas station, the people said,
love. Look, I know that area because I lived in another one of those towns next to there.
I'm not going. I'm not. I really don't want to leave Oakland, man, and
Yeah.
San Francisco, because California, boy.
People don't realize that. They don't know about that in
That's
California.
some gothic stuff going on in the Santa Cruz Hills, man. I'm telling you.
Oh, Santa Cruz Hills. Yeah.
Yeah, weird stuff going on up there.
Yeah. Well.
Bacchanals and stuff. And
Yeah, in Santa Cruz.
yeah, I'm sure. Something like that.
Yeah. Well. All right. Well. Have a merry.
You too.
Happy holiday.
You too.
What did you call it? Christnika.
Krishnika.
Happy Christnika.
Boy, Steve Bannon's unhappy, right? When he heard that, Steve Bannon said,
Steve. Happy Christnika.
he said, I've got it. What? Just for that, I'm going to shave. Just for that.
Hey, listen, if Trump gets Greenland, maybe he'll export his.
Oh, he said he wants to get the Panama Canal back.
Yeah, he wants that, but he also wants Greenland.
And
Today he said he wants Greenland.
Maybe they want Japan back too.
Well, I don't know, but
McKinley wanted to get Japan.
He definitely wants Greenland. He said today, "I want Greenland," and maybe we can build
a golf course over there.
He thinks it's Green's land. I think
he's gonna build a golf course.
Is that it?
The world's biggest golf course.
The thing is, it's all green in Greenland now. It's not ice anymore.
I know. Well,
I mean, when Greenland turns green, that's bad. That's bad news. And don't you think that it's weird that when the number one crisis really is the climate, we have the biggest climate denier.
It's getting very small coverage in the press.
Yeah, no, zero coverage.
Yeah.
Zero coverage.
Yeah.
And we should be talking about we're the hottest year ever, 1.5 degrees centigrade. We've reached that level. We're doing nothing about it. We might, 2040 is the year that they say, hey, that's it.
They're doing something about it. They're adapting. They've given up on turning back the global warming. They're talking about adaptation now.
Oh, so the rich people have little places to go.
You saw what happened to some little island down there, the French island that almost completely destroyed. There was an island a couple of weeks ago. It's almost completely destroyed. So all those islands are going to be underwater.
Yeah.
Sharks are going to be swimming in Miami. Everybody's going to swim away,
And get this, the West Coast will be Stockton. Stockton will be the West Coast.
Well, I might head back to my hometown.
What, Buffalo or Chattanooga?
I might head back to Buffalo.
Oh, they got
Stockton becomes the whole there's a theory that California broke off from South America, where South America is, and there are plants that don't grow in other parts of the United States, and then that whole thing might break off, and one day we'll find ourselves at the bottom of the Pacific. Yeah, that's one theory I read somewhere.
California?
Yeah.
Where I am here in the Central Valley, it's all like sandy loam. It's like this is with the bottom. This was the bottom of the ocean kind of thing.
Well, maybe it'll be bottom of the ocean again. We'll see.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean that or the coast.
Isn't it interesting that majority of white women would vote for a man whose cabinet choice is Robert Kennedy
Jr.
Robert Kennedy Jr., whose theories might harm their children. I mean, their children might get smallpox or any number of diseases if his theories stand. And they voted for Trump knowing this would happen. So I think there are people who are willing to die or let their children die. And global warming too.
Yeah.
He told them he wanted to drill for more oil. His attitudes on global warming. So that might interfere with this. Jeopardize the survival of the children. Yet they still voted for Trump. So what is that all about?
Denial.
Instead of psychoanalyzing Trump, they should psychoanalyze these women who voted for Trump.
Or just most of America. Actually, half of America. Half of America is okay. The other half, not so good.
Well, they're crazy.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's just, we're still in that, 50-50 polarized nation.
Well, most of the people agree with the Democrats.
Yeah. Most
people agree with the Democrats on every poll that's taken.
Yeah. But Democrats have that bad brand.
And they don't have the media. They don't have these billionaires doing the media. You got that one family controlling, some right-wing family controlling local news.
Yeah. Murdoch, Sinclair.
All those Sinclair, right?
Yeah, Sinclair. Yeah, I mean it's
So we can't get a word in edgewise. That's why I started about global strategy a long time ago. I sent my ideas about the election to the New York Times, rejected. Washington Post, rejected. El País is going to
El-
publish Spanish newspaper.
hey, I get published in the Philippines.
Polish newspaper. Ask my opinions. Polish literary quarterly. Ask my opinions about the election.
See, I get published in the Philippine papers.
Millions of followers.
Well, I mean,
Subscription. About 1 million.
I don't know. It's it's in there, Philippines,
Yeah, sure. Why not?
and
Yeah,
also the diaspora,
yeah, absolutely.
the Filipinos around the world. But yeah, you won't see me in the
You
Times.
know, you know, you know, Jad, who was the president of before Columbus.
Yeah,
They let him go at the CNN because they said he talked about white racism too much.
really?
Yeah, yes. I asked Don Lemon about that. He took the fifth.
Yeah, yeah. Well, Don Lemon, he's had his ups and downs there.
Yeah, but he's saying things that he wouldn't say ordinarily in this interview. He got a
Yeah.
little testy with me, but I asked him the right question. He was very good.
Well, he had a period, Don Lemon, where he was, pro Bill Cosby. Remember his pro Bill Cosby era when he was,
Bill Cosby, well, maybe Bill Cosby should have run for president
well, he was saying,
because the president. I mean, he ain't no slouch when it comes to taking it to women. I mean, he got 16 women who said and 13-year-old
yeah.
said that
Well,
and so why Bill Cosby should have run for president?
well, my point was when Cosby was criticizing blacks for their underwear showing.
There ain't no reason to crucify the man.
Yeah, well, I'm saying that the loudest critic about Cosby was Don Lemon. That was kind of like he was conservative at one point.
They did a thing. What's this guy's name? That guy on American Civil Liberties, that comedian who does the American Civil Liberties spot, who's on CNN.
Bill
We must talk about Cosby. You remember that special he did?
I don't
Well, he's
know.
on American Civil Liberties Union commercial right now.
Oh, I haven't seen him.
What about the right against self-incrimination?
I haven't seen that
The
commercial.
Supreme Court threw that thing out because of the right against self-incrimination. He got set up by the district attorney. I'm not saying these women lied.
Yeah.
It's been great to have them come and testify and have a trial. But anyway, the thing was thrown out by the Supreme Court because it violated his right against self-incrimination. And the district attorney ran that, that we're going to bag him. We're going to bag him. We'll get him. And then you have some comedians. The comedians dictate the political trends now, like Steve, what's his name? Bill Maher.
Bill Maher. Yeah.
He's
That's why. Yeah, comedians over the journalists.
Yeah, he's a right winger.
Yeah. Well, he's sort of.
No, he's a right winger.
He's changed.
No, he does a Willie Horton every year, and poor Van Jones had to stand up there and take that while he's doing these Willie Horton things, and Van Jones kind of grinning a little bit.
Van Jones got $1 million from Jeff Bezos.
Well, I mean, why don't he quit? He got $100 million, I thought.
Oh, he got a lot of. I mean, I don't know if it's 100. I thought it was just.
So, what is he still in this country for?
I don't know. I mean, they asked Van Jones because
if he had $100 million, he can go to some countries. They put out a red carpet wherever he went.
I don't think it's 100.
Grocery store have a red carpet.
I don't think it's 100, but he did win a chunk.
No, he said $100 million. He said he don't know what he's going to do with it. So
got to call Van. So,
but I mean, what about all the people who he's nominated for the cabinet? They're been charged with rape and all this.
Yeah.
Robert Kennedy Jr. is charged with rape and all. So I mean, what's the big deal? Why are they picking on Cosby and P. Diddy? P. Diddy was given to us by the Times. They had a big old glowing story about him, saying, "Oh, he's a great entrepreneur and all this other kind of stuff." They knew the deal.
He got greedy with the baby oil. Got greedy with the baby oil.
And these Catholic priests, they've molested hundreds of thousands of people.
Oh yeah,
kids, and it's all the way back in the back pages. You know that?
Yeah.
And what about Harvey? What about Epstein's clients?
Bill Gates. Oh no,
All a whole bunch of people.
Bill
Prince
Clinton.
Andrew got busted because he's the poorest of all of them.
That's the thing,
He's the one who had the least amount of money, so he got busted. What about the 999? Where's Me Too on this? Where's Me Too on this? 999 of the most powerful men in the Western world were his clients, including Elon Musk was up there. They showed a picture.
Elon Musk was up there.
He was up there. They showed him a picture with the Maxwell girl. What's the woman?
Ghislaine Maxwell,
Yeah.
who's in prison now with.
Yeah, that's right. Because the Johns, they get off and the women get busted. Right.
Yeah. She's in the prison with the same prison as Mangione.
The Johns get off and the women get busted in this in these sexual situations.
Yeah. Well, on that note, we will say Merry Christmas.
I'll be on. You have me on one last time before Patel is appointed head of the FBI. That'll be my last.
We'll have you
my last appearance for 4 years.
We'll also do a New York version too.
That's great.
New York, and then talk about see what the subways are like. Maybe we could take a subway ride.
I'm not gonna go down no subway. Okay. I stopped taking the subway years ago.
Not even I haven't taken BART.
You don't know what's gonna happen to people when they're underground, man.
I haven't taken BART since the pandemic. Isn't that weird?
I avoid that too. I take Lyft everywhere. Or
Lyft. I take Lyft over Uber.
Yeah.
Right, because Uber still has, I mean, I guess
tainted.
Somewhat, but you ask a Lyft driver, and they say, "Well, I drive Uber and Lyft." They're like good corporates, who give money to the Democrats and Republicans, And
we weren't able to get a cab in New York for years, so
yeah,
serves them right.
I know it takes a long time, but a Lyft guy, he's there.
Right there.
All right, Ishmael. Happy Hanukkah.
Same to you.
And farewell, and be well.
Okay.
Be vegan. Stay vegan.
Okay, take it easy.
All right. There it is.
Talk to you
later. It is. My friend Ishmael Reed, the writer. Oh, I love Ishmael. He just goes on and we talk. I've known him for so long. And he always has a take, always has something to say. All right, so we'll play this. We'll feature it on the my YouTube channel, also on patreon.com/Emil Amok. Hey, I like to leave everyone with a little loving kindness. You notice the decorations here because I'm into Christica. And now I guess it's weird that Christmas and Hanukkah falling on the same day. So anyway, I'd like to leave you with a little loving kindness, our meditation, because send the love out, it comes back twofold. So as I wish for me, I wish for you. May you be safe. May you be happy. May you be healthy. And may you live with ease. Emil Guillermo here. Till next time. Mahal Kita.